Congratulations! After watching my last video, which I'm sure most of you did, here is your diploma. Right, congratulations. Okay, so you've hopefully had a good time playing Terraria, exploring mods, getting familiar with adapting to the environment and whatnot. Whatever the case is, you feel ready. Maybe you are ready. You want to take the next step, moving on from Terraria and experience something more, yet confined to the same space as you were before. You're ready for the big leagues. The Calamity mod is by far the largest Terraria mod in terms of quality content, downloads, and replayability. Some people may call it an entirely different game, which is a notion that I subscribe to, in fact, because it fundamentally changes the game. Despite it being Terraria, the way you approach it might be different from that of vanilla, but I digress. This video is the second video of a series of 3. I recommend that you check out the first video if you have not watched it. Even if you're not interested in the overall concept of a non-Calamity mod pack, the first half of the video talks about quality of life and their benefits or drawbacks. I'll talk briefly about it, but not as extensively. So what is this video? This video is about Calamity and the mods to make it fun, which means Terraria, but the mods that are added fundamentally change the game in a way where it's even hard to call it the same game, hence Terraria Calamity. The purpose of the first video is to show that you don't need these massive mods to enjoy Terraria, and how to have fun without them. But I can't deny how popular and just overall amazing the Calamity mod is. The journey of Calamity's massive updates is crazy, and it's all free. Well, you need Terraria, but still, it's insane. This video is to show how you can use Terraria Calamity to make a fun and effective mod pack that uses Calamity with quality of life and submods to make a truly entertaining and vast experience that makes you long to replay the game more. Like the first video, this video will be split into distinct sections and timestamps which are on screen and the description. So before I get into how to make a peak Calamity, make sure to subscribe. I am so close to 100 subscribers, and it would mean a lot if I could get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. My birthday is on December 31st, so who doesn't love an early birthday gift? Maybe when I get to 100, I'll do a small itsy bitsy Q&A. So make sure to comment a question, and I'll compile them into a Q&A, and that'll be fun. Okay, enough yapping. Let's get into it. This is short, but incredibly important. Keep in mind, the core of a mod pack is not Terraria, but rather Terraria Calamity. I will assume that you'll be playing Terraria Calamity on Expert and Revengeance mode, as that is what I like to call the normal mode for Calamity. The optimal experience for someone wanting to play default Calamity. Now let me re-ask the essential questions. Take notes. What is your favorite part of the game? Boss fights and the rewarding difficulty? The different classes and variety of gameplay, explorations, biome, and loot, building? Actually, probably not building here. But there are a lot of Calamity submods, or just other mods that can add these key concepts. Calamity is a much vaster experience that can be rather overwhelming, so make sure to pick and choose things that are fun, but not everything to the point where you get lost in the sauce, if you know what I mean. If you ever get bored of what you're currently doing, it can either be that there is too much or too little, or you're just lost and haven't really taken advantage of quality of life, so the pacing is just not right for you. If you want to be a Calamity purist, there are specific submods that you can use and not use, or you can just use quality of life. It doesn't really matter. I'm currently doing a mini-series of Calamity submods called the Calamity Submodathon. I actually haven't made one in quite some time, but yeah, check those out, the early ones that is. Like the first video, I will use gold stars to show my recommendations of the mod for new players. However, this time, there will be red stars to accompany them. The red stars represent players who want to have a challenge, those who are playing on Infernum or just want to experience Calamity in a different way, but have experienced Calamity at one point. Okay, let's get into this. Making our perfect Terraria Calamity mod pack. So I've already talked about quality of life and how it makes the game easier, so I suppose I can use this video's version of this section to talk about how to make the game harder. A lot harder or just a little harder, but not grindier. I believe that video games need to be stimulating. Doesn't mean that there's nothing wrong with being brain dead, easy, or just cozy. But I don't think a lot of people who want to play Terraria Calamity are looking for a cozy experience. Calamity is probably harder than Terraria, for sure, but that's probably due to the fact that the game probably wants you to have an understanding of Terraria itself. Here is a graph I made to illustrate a point I want to make, in case you want to use other large Terraria mods. Calamity's difficulty curve is somewhat similar to that of Vanilla's in my opinion, except for after Wall of Flesh, when Calamity's slope increases, and then at Post Moonlord where it can become exponentially harder, with Providence and those other bosses. Now I want to mostly think most other content mods adhere to Vanilla's graph, but Calamity is of course balanced towards its own graph. You see the problem here? You'll end up sweeping through most content mods without a second thought with Calamity items. And there's a lot of reasons why. A lot of items have been buffed, player movement is increased in general, and a whole plethora of reasons. Now, this doesn't mean that large content mods all don't scale with Calamity. Fargo Soul Mod, Stars Above, and even some Thorium, we'll get into that later, can be set scale with Calamity. However, Calamity has like 60 submods, so for the sake of simplicity, we're just gonna use those only. Transition. Calamity Infernum is a mod that completely overhauls Calamity's bosses and your approach towards fighting them. Do I recommend a new player attempting Infernum? Hell no. I don't think... it's pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult, okay. In fact, I'm making a whole serious playthrough on it, and so far I've already died more than 500 times. Go check it out. But I will recommend you try Infernum one day, especially if you're a fan of Souls games or Touhou or any of those difficult games in general. Calamity Community Mix is technically, for this instance, a specifically quality of death mod, because it just makes the game funky, really funky. It just hurts to think about. If you for some reason don't like the state of modern Calamity, you can also revert to previous version of Calamity using the classic Calamity mods, like really far back, like the first version of the game. Fargo Soul Mod adds in Attorney mode, which can sometimes mess up Calamity Death Mode AI, but you probably want to wait, why am I even talking about this right now? Transition 2! Okay, so we have some idea what we want with our Calamity playthrough. Now, do we want to keep to the Calamity roots, or do we want to seek something more? For this video, I will be keeping the core of this mod pack as Calamity, meaning we won't add anything extreme like Stars Above, unfortunately. Soon though. However, Fargo's Soul Mod, despite it not being a Calamity submod, in the traditional sense, adds in Calamity exclusive stuff if both are enabled. Granted, it has a similar effect with Thorium, Shadows of Abaddon, etc. It adds in a good chunk of bosses and some overpowered accessories, which are just a bunch of themed accessories at the end of the day. I already talked about Infernum, Community Remix, and Classic, so I'll just continue. Catalyst is another mod I've made an extensive review for, so go check that out. But to summarize, adds in a removed boss from Calamity, gives it an insane glow up, a crazy second phase, and added in some random things that you doesn't have to actually do it, the focus of the mod, and boom, you have Catalyst. It's great, I highly recommend it, especially for those who are doing an Infernum run, as it fits right in. Next up is the Calamity add-on, Hunt of the Old Gods and Wrath of the Gods. These mods all add in unique bosses that are all referenced in the fandom Calamity page, just like Community Remix, but it actually makes the bosses feel like real bosses and not just brain rot. Specifically speaking, Calamity adds in the Calamitous as a joke boss, albeit kinda cool. Harder version of the Sunken Sea Clam boss. Drops some upgraded versions of the Clam drops, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hunt of the Old God adds in Guzma, a boss that can be fought right after King Slime. No, right as you enter hard mode. But it's recommended to fight this post-Supreme Calamitas, cause it's sorta difficult and sorta very hard. It's like Catalyst in terms of content, with a cool boss and items that revolve around it with some random additions here and there. Just like we have also Wrath of the Gods, adding in Noxus and Nameless Deity. both of which are insane bosses and deserve their own submodathon video in the future. I have a lot of things planned. Anyways, I recommend these all because they add in some niche stuff that can be skipped over if you wanna, but if you're up for the challenge, especially for Nameless Deity, it can feel like a true final boss of Calamity. Calamity Clickers, Bard, and Healer class, and I guess with that, the Convergence mod Redux. These are mods for those who want to add Thorium with their playthrough. I believe there is also a clicker mod for Thorium and the base game, and it's basically melee class if auto swing was turned off, aka Carpal Tunnel Simulator. It's a new class that can be pretty fun to play if you enjoy finger pain. I kid, it's genuinely a good time. And for people who are looking for an excuse to continue to not play Rogue, Bard and Healer class and the Convergence mod by extension are just the bridge Thorium and into the Calamity curve. There are generally way more that I would recommend you check out, but for the sake of simplicity, I'll move on. As for the ones I've mentioned, they're pretty sufficient for this mod pack to not be too overwhelming, but fun to use. This video has been a lot shorter than I thought it would be, not gonna lie. Which is why if you're still here and you have not watched the first one, I highly recommend you do so. A lot of the information here will be rehashed from the first video. I don't really like to repeat things, unless it's asking you to subscribe, in which you totally should subscribe. I digress. We will follow a very similar format. I would just make the mod pack and what should be in it. Since I had 2 different rankings this time, I'll be making 2 mod packs. One for experienced players, one for new players. If the mod is on the left side of the screen, it's for more experienced players. And if it's on the right side, it's for everyone. You know, everyone can play it. Obviously, we have Calamity, I'll be in the middle. But first, let's start with some quality of life. This will be on any side, this does not matter. Same as last time though, Recipe browser or excavator, Fargo's mutant mod, magic storage, boss checklist. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now we'll do some for the Calamity part. Alchemist NPC, Light, New Beginnings, Wingstop Extra, Boss Cursor, and friendly NPCs don't die. Cool. Quality of life is done. Yippee. Time for the big guns. For most recommended from everyone to the more experienced. Inferno. Calamity mod music plus vanilla Calamity mod music. It's fire. It's just a music mod, whatever. Fargo Soul mod. This can be on either side, depending if you want to play it on Eternity or not. I don't recommend it, but for experienced players who it could interfere with some difficulty mods or just Calamity difficulty scaling in general, it can be pretty hard. So yeah, it's like Infernum, but not Infernum, you know, just another difficulty mode. Catalyst, it's a good dip in the pool for newer players when it comes to the harder aspects of mod Terraria. It's optional, so it won't interfere with gameplay, and it's a pretty fun experience. If it doesn't Calamity mod, yeah, it's sort of a joke mod, so I wouldn't really rely on it being fun, per se. But it could be a nice challenge to do a tangent with Infernum and Catalyst. Calamity, Hunt of the Old Gods and Wrath of the Gods. Middle of the pack. I recommend because it's entirely optional content that can be pretty rough, but also really fun. And of course, Infernum. I don't want to talk about it. Calamity Clickers. Fun Carpal Tunnel Convergence Redux for those who still want to play Thorium. It's a great compatibility mod. Fargo's Soul mod adds in a lot of content and can be tough with its unique difficulty mod. But oh, be aware of what effects it can have on your mental health. Because, oh my god, you could end up in a ward. Well, congratulations. You've made your second mod pack. This time using Calamity. Calamity is a mod that people should experience. It's honestly a steal that it's free. So I hope you learned something. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas. And hope you have a good new year. Oh my god, my throat just died. I'll probably try and pump out a video or 2 before the year ends. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and press subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it, but also subscribe still. You know, still subscribe. I think everyone should subscribe. Everyone who watches this video should subscribe. Please subscribe, please. Anyways, peace.